Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are starting the journey of Cliona the Warrior Dwarf. The name Cliona is of Irish origin and it means shapely. That is exactly what Google told me, and I really can't explain any further what shapely actually means. But she was a goddess, so I thought it would be fitting for the dwarven race. So let's not delay any further, let's jump into the story of Cliona the Dwarf Warrior.
Great change has come to the enduring halls of Ironforge. Obsessed with the workings of the Titans, the dwarves retrieved their creator's mystical tablets from the fabled city of Ulduar. Activating one such tablet, King Magni Bronzebeard fell prey to a terrible curse that fused his statue-like form into the diamond heart of Ironforge itself. To compound this tragedy, Magni's estranged daughter Moira arrived, claiming her father's throne for herself and for her infant, dark iron son. To avert civil war, the dwarves created the Council of Three Hammers, an uneasy coalition that would share power equally amongst the clans. Now, with political upheaval rising within the kingdom and the great cataclysm ravaging the surrounding lands, the future of Ironforge falls to brave dwarves like you.
So here we are in Coldridge Valley. This is the starting zone for the dwarves. And we have Yoren Ironstock, local mountaineer captain. Let's see what he wants.
What can I do for you?
Hold the Line, which is also a great song, by the way, by Toto, I believe. I'll have to give that a listen now later on after this. Hey, you there. You're a stout-looking warrior. Lend us a hand? It looks like today's big earthquake shook a bunch of those barbarous trogs out of the ground. And they're sure steamed about something. My men are doing what they can to hold them off, but we could use a hand. Do your part. Head just south out of here and help dig me mountaineers out of trouble. We got to hold the line. So we just have to kill 6 Rockjaw invaders and we'll get some nice pants for that. So we'll accept that.
See you soon.
And Blizzard can definitely not say that was in reference to Toto. So these are kind of firsts for me because I have played maybe one dwarf ever, if even that. I don't even know if I got out of the starting zone. And I actually haven't ever really played warrior before. I don't know why, the warriors just never really appealed to me. I suppose I actually tend to go for more spellcasting, ranged, I suppose, really, as opposed to upfront melee damage. Now, I do know, obviously, the warriors are very good for tanking and things. Anytime I've gone tanking, it has been more with the paladins, because I've liked the versatility of, hey, if I don't want to tank, I can heal, or I can go DPS instead. Now, I know I can go DPS with the warrior as well. I think it's just not having that healing utility. I do kind of miss that. But yeah, I'm going to be super interested to learn about the dwarves and where they come from and just the history of them. Because like I said, I've never actually really played one before. But I thought a warrior was suited to her.
What's on your mind?
Impressive work, lassie. We can hold the perimeter from here on out. Here, take this for your troubles. It might come in handy, as I've got something more important to ask ye.
Safe travel.
Give him what for. Alright, Cliona, listen up. I know a thing or two about trogs, and one of those things is that the biggest, strongest trogs gets the most respect. The brutes value strength over anything else. You see those great big trogs sitting back behind the front lines? They're the closest to what you'd call a leader. Go, take out a few and show them what it means to mess with the Sons of Ironforge. So we will do that.
Ground.
And Sten also wants to speak to us.
My attention.
Aid for the wounded. Cliona, listen. Unlike Yoren, I've no need for your blade, but I do need someone with a steady hand and a bit of courage. Our mountaineers are trained to protect the village from the odd wolf attack, not an all-out trog invasion. Many of our best have succumbed to wounds and exhaustion, and I need your help to bandage them up. Here, take my first aid kit and assist as many as you can. So we'll do a bit of healing, a bit of killing. I do have to say I love the eat dwarven lead. So one thing about the trogs is actually, if we let's see, can I zoom in there? They are almost like distant relations of the actual dwarves. They all come from the same creation, nearly. Things to do with the Earthen Titans. The dwarves come from what were stone and like metal beings, which I think there's still some around, but that's where they came from. But they were all impacted by something called the Curse of Flesh. And that is what actually turned these stone and metal beings into the dwarves that we have today. But yeah, that is actually where dwarves themselves come from. So this is just the last one there now, and I think if you can see, he said, you break our cave, I break your skull. This is something we're going to learn, but obviously why they are attacking is because of what just happened. And what just happened is the cataclysm just happened. And with it, it caused a giant earthquake that pulled all these guys up from the ground. Like that, he's saying you break our cave, so they actually think it's the dwarves that attacked them.
Well met.
They blame us for destroying their home, you say? Well, that wasn't us. That was the horrible earthquake we had earlier today. Are they that dense that they can't see we nearly lost our camp too? Can't blame a trog for fighting for his home, though. Which you can't. I mean, the dwarves are doing the exact same thing, so that's why Yoren completely understands it. And I'm just going to hand in over here too. Many of those that you saved have already made it back to camp. Their wounds were well dressed. You might have a future in first aid if you're into that sort of thing.
Off with you.
And then back to Yoren,
Great to meet you.
locked down in Anvilmar. We appreciate your help out here, but there may be a place where they need you even more. Due to the trog attacks, not to mention that massive earthquake we just had, we're putting all civilians on lockdown inside Anvilmar, just up the hill to the northwest. Go and talk to me wife, Jonna, inside Anvilmar. I'm certain she's in need of an able-bodied lass such as yourself.
See you soon.
No problem at all. We will go up and we will help your wife. And luckily, it is actually very close by. Literally, what was that, maybe 20 steps away? He probably could have gone and helped her himself, but I suppose he is holding the line. So this is Anvilmar. And it has this big furnace in the middle of it. And all the anvils all the way around.
Welcome.
Ak, what do you want? Can't you see I'm busy in here? Go and bother someone else. I haven't the time. Wait, what's that you say? Yoren sent you to help? Well, why didn't you say so?
Keep your feet on the ground.
First things first, we're gonna need some beer. I don't know how anyone expects to get any work done around here if we don't have any ale. Our beer level here in Anvilmar is dangerously low. Lucky for us, we've stowed some backup kegs for just such an occasion. West of Anvilmar, along the valley's northern border, you'll find kegs of Stormhammer Stout and Terramore Pale Ale. Just to the east of here, you'll find a stash of Nonenbrow. That's my favourite.
Good.
Well, they have their priorities straight, I suppose. So if they're going to be in lockdown, they want their beer. Now what's in here then? Oh, it's just more, say, merchants, citizens. So obviously they're all on lockdown, like she was saying, in here just for protection. And Grundrel wants to speak to us. Dwarf and artifacts. Cliona, me beautiful flower. Are you into archaeology? We've an exciting opportunity right outside our front door. All the shaking from today's seismic event has knocked a number of artifacts loose from the soil around our encampment. Survey along the valley's northern border and you'll find all sorts of treasures. Bring some back to me and perhaps we can study them together. Right then, off you go. Okay, so we have a beer run, and while we're at it, we're going to do some archaeology too. So we're very good at multitasking. And here is the first one. So that is a big cask. I don't know why, but I imagine like that would disappear as if it went into my bag, but I suppose there's no way that was going to fit in. And then we're going to find the artifacts too. So one thing that is kind of funny about this area is they're obviously speaking, how do I say it, like, yeah. It's like Celtic. At the same time, no, that is Celtic, but their names are almost Scandinavian-like. That's why I don't know if I should be pronouncing the J's or not, so I probably will be intermixing pronouncing the J's at the start of the names. Maybe not some other times. Like Yoran. Just sounds like that the J is silent. But Jonna, it just sounds like I should say it. So you'll have to bear with me if I'm saying them wrong. But I will say the way they have these quests written and how the dwarves themselves actually speak is actually suiting me down to the ground, because that is how I kind of speak anyway. It is very, very like how the Irish would speak. I would imagine, because we are somewhat kind of linked together, probably the Scottish as well. Actually, it's all the Celtic ties together. But that's why it actually doesn't sound any different when I'm saying what they actually have in the quests. So, dwarves are probably the best for the Irish, the Scottish, and anyone from kind of Celtic descent. And we'll get the last one. Oh, and this must be her one because it is the smallest. There we go. That's her own like personal casket there. And this must be their graveyard. Yeah. Oh, you can run straight through the tombstones. Alright, wasn't expecting that. Alright, enough messing. I better go back in and... Are they just like ready for people or... Okay, that is not worrying. We won't worry about that right now. We just go in and hand in the beer. And of course the artifacts as well.
I've the finest wares in the land. Watch your
Wonderful. Look at this one. It must be over 200 years old. Now, on to other matters.
Up with you.
Make hay while the sun shines. The Trog village to the southwest suffered similar damage to ours. One would assume, logically, that there will be some Trog artifacts sticking out of the ground too. Unfortunately, it looks like most of the artifacts have already been scooped up by Trog scavengers. Please go see if you can find some way to get them back. Believe it or not, knowledge about Trogs may eventually lead to further knowledge about the mighty dwarfs. So we will accept that, and kind of like what I was saying, and I will research it a bit more, but the Trogs and the dwarves are actually somewhat linked together, like distant relatives. Let's hand in.
What's on your mind?
The ale, darling, the ale.
Watch your
Don't worry, I got it. Jonah drinks deeply from the Nomenbrow. Aha, that hits the spot. Now we can get some work done around here.
off with you.
All the other stuff. If we're going to be on lockdown for any extended period of time, we're going to need some food, and some blankets to keep the wee ones warm. Would you mind heading outside and gathering up some supplies? You'll find that a few of the small boars actually have some healthy sized haunches, good for eating. We'll also need some pelts from the young wolves. You'll find animals almost everywhere you go in Coldridge. Bring me back to the night elves, out to kill nature and to gather it. This is more so for survival this time, as opposed to the night elves, who it was more for, how would you say, like it was like culling, because they didn't want the taint to go through the generations of the creatures living there. So swings and roundabouts, each of them have their own ways of doing these things. So still getting used to the actual warrior as well. That will take me a bit of time. Look, it's not the worst, obviously. I mean, I'm only after starting. It's not a class I'm used to. Okay, so we have Victory Rush as well. I will put that further up. I definitely, like, I have had warriors before, but I just never went full level with them. And it was quite probably a long time now since I've actually played one. I'm sorry, ragged young wolf, but you're gonna make a fine jacket. Oh, yes, and we have to get these guys as well. Who, like... Shame we couldn't have just spoke to them and just asked them to hand it over, because how can we be mad at them for picking it up? If that's what we're doing as well anyway. Maybe they're the archaeologists of the Rockshore Scavengers. I'll get the rest of these anyway, and then I'll return and I'll hand in. Well, would you look at this? An axe blade, a couple of arrowheads, and what appears to be some sort of rudimentary spoon. This is indeed fascinating. Thanks again for your help, Cliona. I've much studying to keep myself occupied while Yoren got us under lockdown.
Good.
So we'll complete that.
How are you?
And all the other stuff. The people are getting restless. Do you have the supplies yet?
Off with you.
They'll have to do for now. We've a lot of people to feed here, but we've got to make do with what we've got. With any luck, King Bronzebeard in Ironforge will send us some help shortly.
Keep your feet on the ground.
Well done. You've done us a great service here. But I'm afraid I've got to send you off somewhere else. Grelin Whitebeard, a good friend of mine, has put in word that he may need some reinforcements near the troll camps to the southwest. Follow the road westward. You should find him soon. Be well, Cliona. Trogs may be a pain, but trolls are a whole other type of trouble. So we just have to report to Grelin Whitebeard as well. But for this episode, that is where we will end things. So in the second part of Cliona, the Dwarf Warrior, we are going to go to Grelin Whitebeard's camp in Coldridge Valley and help him out. As always though, thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. If you did like this video, maybe give it a like, and if you would like to see future videos by me, maybe give it a subscribe as well. Other than that though, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!